As I was reflecting on that question for this wondrous celebration, a face came to mind. From years ago, he sat somewhere back there. He came with his girlfriend, as a lot of guys do, drawn by love and got caught by the gospel while he showed up with her. It was at a time when St. Andrew was beginning to explore the possibilities of how might you live into the 21st century, proclaiming the gospel to a new generation. When you became brave enough to begin to ask people, what is it that you need? How can we serve you? How can we show Jesus to you more clearly? His name was Brett, and I still remember going to lunch with him and saying, I really want to pick your brain. Tell me what it is about this church that you really like. And we heard so much of it last night. Love, acceptance. I said, well, tell me about the worship service. What is it that really engages you, doesn't engage you? And he said, oh, it's so wonderful. I'm in there with all these people that love me and care for me, and I love the music, and gosh, the Eucharist is just awesome. It's just so hard to explain how somehow Jesus is there and I'm receiving Him. And I said, well, is there anything that you don't like? Anything that isn't engaging you? And he said, well, there is one thing. I said, what's that? He said, well, when they get up there and read out of that book, I just kind of check out. I said, excuse me? He said, you know, when they get up there, and I think it's what, 2 or 3 people, they get up, one of them they walk down the aisle and do something fancy while they're reading. But what is all that about? And that was the first time I had ever thought about the fact that for a pulling up here and hearing us read from the book is the equivalent of having someone say to us, and Cinderella ran up the stairs and dropped her slipper as the chimes were striking midnight. The word of the Lord. What? What does that mean? What does that have to do with me? And I believe that was the moment for me where I began to see the world differently. A vision that we share together, and a vision that you have taken far beyond anything that I could have ever imagined. Can any good come out of Kokomo? This church is known by many people all over the country as a place that loves Jesus, as a place that sacrifices for Jesus, as a place that is willing to do whatever it takes for people to understand that the story isn't just a fragment. The story of Jesus is life-changing. We celebrate this 125th anniversary not because we cling to the past. Although I must say, what a glorious past it has been. We celebrate this anniversary as a witness to the saints who have lived before and are still living in the present, who have loved Jesus and who are willing to sacrifice themselves, who have been willing to trust, who have ask the prayer that the disciples asked that day, Lord, increase our faith. We don't know what to do. We don't know how to turn next. We don't know what direction you want to go. And yet you have been willing to pray that prayer. And in so doing, God has opened up the riches of heaven and has led the way. The bishop last night said that in another 125 years, his successor would be here, giving thanks to God for what happened next. It is not an exaggeration to say the things that you are doing, the things that you are trying, the journey that you are on the frontier of God's mission in this new century. It is scary. It is scary to be in a town where the economic climate is as it is. It is scary knowing or not knowing whether or not you're going to be fully employed or underemployed. The future, the earthly future, is frightening. And Jesus said, don't look over there. Look at me. The disciples said, Lord, increase our faith. And Jesus says, if you have the faith the size of a mustard seed, the grain of pepper, you will see the most amazing things. And in the Greek translation of his words, he actually implies, and you already have it. Surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, with your eyes fixed on Jesus, and the mustard seed of faith in your hearts, you have yet to see glorious, amazing things that our Lord Jesus Christ will do through you and with you and for you. I give thanks to God for your faithfulness. I give thanks to God for your trust. I give thanks to God for your willingness to celebrate the past, not cling on to it. I give thanks to God for you being willing to be a community that doesn't have to know what the future holds, but just clings to Jesus. No, he will take you where you need to go.